In today's session, I will be discussing about how to create data frames. In yesterday's session, we have seen, right, what a data frame is, what is the definition of it, how to read a file, and how to assign it to a data frame. We have seen in yesterday's session. So in today's session, I'll tell you how to create data frames. Actually, we have two different methods. I'll explain you those two different methods. And along with that, we'll also see one of the transformation which is used, which is called a selector transformation, and how to write back onto a new file. Okay. So let us open portal.azure.com. It's taking time now. All right, let us quickly go to our Azure Databricks. This is the workspace. Let us launch it. Okay, so here let me create a new notebook. Let me name it as data frames notebook. The default language is Python, and here this is the cluster which I want to use. Before that, I should start my cluster. Meanwhile, before it gets switched on, let me go to the notebook which I've just created. Here, I want to implement some code which is related to creation of data frames. So actually, we have couple of methods to create a data frame. So why do we create a data frame? Like using these two methods, right? Like you can give the data, you can read the data directly from a file which is imported onto your Databricks file system. That is one way, and the other way is you can create a data frame based on two methods. Okay, so that is how also you can actually read the data. Okay, so why do we create a data frame? Basically to read the data. Okay, you can either read the data from your Databricks file system wala file, you can import it and you can read that, or else you can read directly from your storage account. Okay, be it a blob storage or data lake storage, from there also you can read it. But then that is a different approach which I'll be telling you in the next session. Okay, so we call it as mounting concept. So using this Databricks, right, you don't have to import it onto your Databricks file system and then read it. That thing you don't have to do it. If you just create a mount point, we have something called as a mount point. So we can apply this mounting concept on both our storage account, which are blob storage and data lake storage. Simply, if you create a mount point, right, whatever file is present inside your storage accounts, right, those files you can just fetch it and apply your different transformations. Okay, so that is the second method. And the third method is what you can read the data directly from data frame methods. Okay, so here I'm telling you this particular method. Okay, so for that, let me go to my So what is one way? One way is like reading this particular file. Suppose this employee.csv file is one file. Okay, employee.csv file is one file which you have imported onto your Databricks file system, and you are just reading it. All right, so this is one method. The another method is what? To create data frames in PySpark. So how do we create that? I'll tell you. So for that, first initially I will just try to write the header here. Okay, so for that, how can you write it? Percentile md, and then write hash hash, and then whatever data frames creation method one. Okay, so if you want to write header something like this, how can you write it? You will just have to go to your percentile md. Percentile md means what again? This is your markdown. Okay, so md means markdown. So basically, if you want to write any particular comment, okay, if you want to write any particular comment in the format of a header, heading format, if you want to write like that, you can just make use of this markdown and then write this hash hash. It will give you that particular thing in header formats. Okay, now your cluster is up and running. Now let us write the code part. So how to create a data frame? Initially you will have to take the data. Okay, this is one of my first method. So here what I will have to do, usually you can read the data from a file, right? So instead of reading the data from a file, you can also directly give the data. Okay, so here how you will be starting, you initially start with the data. You can just give some variable here. Okay, whatever variable or whatever name you want, you can just specify that. I have just taken data. Okay, and here you will have to enclose whatever records are present, right? Those things you will have to enclose within an array. Array is what? Open and closing of this square brackets. All right, within this you will have to enclose your whatever list you have, right? That you can just specify here. So that is your first step. After that, what? Inside that array, actually I'm giving few records. Okay, this data is what? This data, actually, if you see here, I have C1 SQL database. This is the first record, and then I have second record, and then I have third record and fourth record. These are the different data which I am passing into my data wala variable. Okay, so here, and this is my first record, this is my second record. I'm segregating it with a comma. All right, comma separated segregation I'm doing it. So here, if you want to enclose anything, right, if you want to pass your data, you will have to enclose it within double quotes. So if you enclose it within double quotes, what are you saying? That you are by default, you are telling that the format for this particular for this particular records, this column value is there, right? That is nothing but your string. Okay, you're telling. Okay, so I have C1 SQL database, C2 Azure cloud. These all I have. So that is your data part. All right, so after that, what do I have? I have something called as columns. Okay, so columns is another data frame. You can consider it as another variable which I have taken. And inside that, what am I passing? I'm actually passing a list. Array is nothing but list of values, right? So inside the columns, I'm passing an array which is holding me what values? Course is one column, technologies is one column, and tools is another column. So I have totally three different columns. So I will try to create a data frame. So actually, what is a data frame? Data frame is a relational database table wherein we will be, or the data would be organized. So this is the data, right? This is the data that would be organized in the columns, right? These are the columns and this is the data. So the data would be organized inside the columns. So that is our data frame, right? The definition of it. So here I will try to create a data frame. So how do we create a data frame? We have something called as spark dot create data frame, and then we will have to pass this data and columns there. Okay, so let me just write that. Okay. So here what do I have? I have something like spark dot create data frame. So this is the syntax. Spark dot create data frame. So here what am I actually trying to do? I'm trying to create a data frame. Okay, so this is one of the method you can use to create a data frame. So spark dot create data frame will actually create a data frame with which name it will try to create a data frame with this name, because you are assigning, after creating that you are assigning it to one data frame. Okay, so with this particular df data frame name, one data frame will be created. So inside that data frame, what are the arguments which you are passing, or else the parameters which you are passing? I'm passing data and columns. So here initially it will start from here, spark dot create data frame. It will go here. What is the data here? Data is nothing but this data. So inside this, what all content is available? This content, that is nothing but I have four different records. Okay, four different records, and after that those records, that particular data should be organized into your columns. So how will it be organized into your columns? You have specified the column names. All right, so once you create this particular data frame, what will happen? Under under these columns, this data will be organized. So how to display that? You can either df dot show it, or else you can just display a data frame. So if you use something like a df underscore course or whatever, so based on that, whatever data frame you are giving, right, the same thing should be displayed, same thing you should try to display it here. Okay, or else it will say, it will throw you some error. Okay, so suppose here I'm giving df, and if I try to give df1, because this df1 is not defined, it is not present anywhere, so at that time it will throw me the error. Okay, df1 is not defined बोल के it will tell. So let me just give it as df and then try to execute it. If you see here, what all we will be able to see here, I have three different columns: course, technologies and tools. In this particular columns, right, my data has been organized. So I have four different records. Those four different records have been organized inside these particular columns. Okay, so this is one way of creating your data frames. Is it clear, guys? This method is very simple. It's just that you will have to make use of this syntax: spark dot create data frame, and then you will have to pass your data and columns. After that you will assign it to a data frame and then try to display it. Clear?
Uh, yes, ma'am, clear, but I have a doubt, ma'am.
Hmm? Yeah,
Ma'am,
tell
in
me.
the table in the downside table, we have a numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We
Hmm?
have not given this column, right? Column or something. We have given only course rectangles and tables. It got
That is serial number
automatically.
wala column.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
So we didn't give any serial number column or something, right? So it automatically
Hmm.
generated
Yes.
this column,
Yes.
ma'am.
So basically it is counting, and it is telling you for each and every row it will assign one value, and then it will try to show it here, showing all four records. Bolke. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll try to explain you the another method. So here we are not sending the schema anywhere. If you observe, did we anywhere specify the schema like I want this particular data to be in the format of schema is nothing but the call the data types, right? So for this particular course I want only string values. For this tools I only want so for this particular thing I only want something like integer or boolean or string. I'm not specifying anything. By default everything it is taking it as what is it considering it? It is considering it as string only. If you see here, string string string, we have not defined the schema. By default whatever value we are sending, right, for that particular value, it is by default it is taking it as schema only. Okay, let me show you one thing. Okay, so this is how you can actually print the schema of a particular data frame. If you want to get to know what data for your particular data frame, for whatever data frame you are trying to refer, right, for that particular data frame, if you want to display which data type it is used, you can just give this df dot print schema. This will just give you for a particular column what is the data type used. Okay, for quotes column I'm using string, here also string, here also string, because I have not explicitly changed it. Okay, so that is why it is in the format of string. All right, so now I will tell you another method, which is method 2. method percentile MD. Okay, here you will use something called as struct types. Okay, so let me show you that. Again, here I'm taking the data. Okay, here the data variable name which I have taken is data2, because in the previous this is the method2, right? So I have just specified it as data2. But if you just see here, right, you already have something with a name called as data. Okay, so that is why I don't want that confusion to happen. So that is the reason why I have specified this as data2. And if you see here, I have another column, extra column here, C1 SQL database, and here I'm passing some numbers, nothing but your integers. All right, let us see the difference now. So if I keep typing this, right, our 30 days course will become 45 days course. Okay, so that is why I'm not typing it, because typing itself will take so much time. Okay. All right, so here I am just taking some other variable, and inside that variable, what am I taking? Actually, I am considering something called a struct type. So till now, what have we seen? If you want to directly just specify whatever values you are getting, if you do not mind that particular columns data type, right, you can just use your method one. But if you want to explicitly specify, explicitly specify the data type of a, go with this method too. Okay, so here we have something called a struct type, struct field, struct bolke. There is one format. So using that particular syntax, right, you will be actually able to send the send the assign the particular data type to a particular column. All right. Okay, so here what am I doing? I'm just giving the data here. I have included one more column here. What is that? That is holding actual values as 1, 2, 3. These 1, 2, 3 are what? This is something related to my department number. Okay, so I have course related column I have, and then technologies column I have, tools column I have, and then the last column is department number. So that details I'm having inside my data to part. All right, so I'm having another one which is called as a schema, and in this schema, right, I'm having something called as a struct type. Why am I having this struct type? Actually, why am I not directly sending the columns? Because here I want to explicitly specify the data type. So if you want to explicitly specify the data type for a column, you will have to make use of this struct type wala option. Okay, this is one of the method which you will have to use it. So just type struct type. Okay, and then that structure type will be enclosed within parenthesis. Okay, normal normal parenthesis, you will be writing it inside. All right, so after that, what you will be doing, you will be actually creating an array which will hold multiple values. Okay, so if you want I'll tell you why I have used this backslash here. Okay, so for now, just try to understand that you have something called as a structure type, which is something like a method. So obviously a method, how will a method look like? A method would be present in this in these particular parentheses, right? So inside that, if you want to send any particular values, you will enclose it within your open and close curly braces. Okay, so this is an array, right? Array will hold multiple values, column 1, column 2, column 3. So like that, I'm passing multiple values here. So that is the first step. After that, what am I trying to do here? I'm just passing some column 1. So if you see here, this is regarding my column 1, and then this is my column 2. Similarly, column 3 and column 4. 4 columns I'm just specifying. So here, coming to the first column, what am I defining here? I'm defining struct field. Inside your struct type method, I have something called as a struct field. Okay, so that structure field is nothing but your column name. Field is nothing but your column name. So here you'll just have to specify whatever column you want to write, right? So for this, I have something called as course column, and then for the next one, I want it to be my technologies column. For the third value, I want it to be my tools column. Similarly, the fourth one is your department number column. All right, so if you see here, this course is nothing but it accepts the string value. So if it should accept the string values, how can I give that? I'm just giving it by writing string type. Okay, string type. So by doing this, I'm explicitly specifying the data type when I'm creating the data frame itself. All right, inside your structure type method, you have something called as a structure field. Inside that particular method, you are just writing string type wala method. All right, these are all the different types of methods. So making use of that, what am I doing? For the course column, I'm giving it as string type. For technologies column, I'm specifying it as string type. Okay, I do not mind if these are in string, so I'm just specifying the same string type. All right, so this is also string type. And the last one, which is your department number, actually it is integers. So I want to use this as integers, but not my string. Okay, so that is why explicitly here I'm specifying that particular column as integer column. If you have any other if you have any other column, like let me just add something else here. Add male female. Okay, if you have something called as true false or some other flag wala option you have, and if you want to write that, right, you can just specify start the field that particular column name, and if it is true or false means what? Boolean wala data type, right? So if you want to write the Boolean wala data type, then it will accept actually either true or false, or else either 0 or 1. Okay, so you can just add Boolean wala type here, Boolean type, and then within the parenthesis just write the true method. That's it. So one more thing, if you want to segregate, how do you actually inside your array, how do you segregate any particular value? You will segregate it with the columns, right? Value 1, val 2, comma val 3, like that you will be specifying. All right, that is also fine. But here if you want to move it to the next wala, next line. Okay, you just this is our PySpark, right? Inside our PySpark you cannot just write value 1, value 2, value 3, comma, like that. Okay, it will not understand, it will throw you some error. So that is why what are we trying to do? We are just trying to put a this one. That means it will understand that okay, this is not a new line, it is just that the continuation of it. It is not something which is new, but it is just the continuation of it, and we are writing it in the next line. So that is why we are specifying it like that. Okay, so that is why we are just giving this backslashes. All right, so this could be any method. Any method will actually be opened and closed within the parenthesis, and inside that if you want to send any array, you will enclose it within this array wala, this symbol is there, right? Inside this you will be giving whatever values you have, those values you will be giving, and then you will be separating it, right? Obviously in an array is nothing but collection of elements. So first element, second element, third element, here you are just making it right in a new line, so that is why you are just giving a backslash. All right. Now let me just try to execute it. So here obviously we will be getting an error. Unexpected indent. Okay, so here we have some indentation problem. If you see here, data is at one place, schema is at another place. That is why we are getting error. All right, so here also again we are getting some other error. What is that? It is telling that name struct type is not defined. That means this is a method which it is not able to define. All right, so why is it not able to identify? That is because this is the method which is available in our PySpark libraries, and we will have to import this method from that particular library. Okay, so once you import it, you will be able to actually use it. So let me just import it and execute it. So here also you will get an error. Why is that? Because I have only imported till this particular structure type. So basically this structure type, where do I have? Inside my PySpark I have something called as SQL features, right? Inside that I have types. So PySpark.sql.types, inside that I have this structure type. Okay, so that is why I'm just importing struct type wala name. Okay, this is the method which I have inside here, inside my PySpark SQL types. So I'm just using that and I am importing it. So till here it worked fine, but at this point I'm getting an error. Why? Because this is also a method which has not been identified. So if I want to use that, right, I will have to import it. So similarly you have something called as so let me just execute till here and see the error. If you see here, what is it telling? I have something called as a string type, which is not defined. Okay, it is telling. So whatever are the methods you are trying to use, those all methods you will have to import. Okay. Now for integer type, I will be getting the error. Let me execute it. So this time I'll not get any error. So if you see here, this was executed in within 3 fraction of seconds, 3 milliseconds it got executed. So here, let me just type, see the print schema of this particular, okay, 1 minute. Let us create a data frame and then try to see the display it and try to see the print schema. Okay. How do you create a data frame? Again, it is as before only, spark.create data frame. Here you are specifying data is equal to data2. That means data is equal to this data2, and then schema is equal to schema. You can just name it anything. You can name it schema2, and you can also give the schema2 here. Not an issue. Okay, execute it. So as we are passing the same data and we are passing the data, right, here we are having 4 columns are present and 3 records are present inside those four different columns, right, and this particular data is there. I'm just trying to enclose that particular data, organize that data inside these columns, 4 columns, and explicitly I have specified it in the format of string and string and integer. Okay, so now let me try to display display of df1. If you see here, now I have all these values organized. Okay, now let us try to check the print schema of it. df1 dot printschema. Okay, if you see here, till now what all are the columns present? I had strings, but now department number I'm explicitly specifying it as integer, so I could see the schema as integer type, data type. Okay, is it clear, guys? Were you able to understand? Guys, clear, right? It is very simple. It's just that there will be a syntax. You will have to follow that syntax. That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine, huh?
Fine, ma'am. But in the second DF, we are in the brackets. We are given equals to data to
Mm.
schema equals to schema to.
Yeah.
అలా కాకుండా డైరెక్ట్ గా ఇవ్వచ్చా మ్యామ్? We can.
So you're not supposed to give like that, because for this particular struct wala, this is a method too, right? So for this particular method too, we have some format. So you'll have to follow this syntax. Okay.
Okay.
All right. What else we have? Okay, so this is fine. All right. So now let us move to the next one, which is our usage of different select methods and writing onto a new file. Okay, so here, if you want to make use of this, I have told you, right, like we have different kinds of transformations and actions. So out of that, we have something called as a select transformation. So if you want to perform, if there are hundreds of columns in your data frame, okay, so now for now, we only have 4 or 5 columns, that is fine. So what if you are dealing with a huge amount of data which is having like 100 columns or 200 columns? So if you want to if you want to filter only few appropriate columns, whatever you want, so you will make use of this select wala transformation. Okay, select transformation is actually used to select out of n columns whatever columns you specify, right? So those particular columns will be actually fetched. So there are various methods to fetch it. Okay, so let me show you one by one. So for that, right, I have something called as COVID India data file. So let me just quickly see where that file is. I'll import that file.
మేడం ఏడీబీలోకి డైరెక్ట్గా ఇంపోర్ట్ చేయకుండా బ్లాబ్లో నుంచి మనం డైరెక్ట్గా ఫ్లెచ్ చేయొచ్చా డేటాని?
Yeah, I've told you now. So in next session, I'll be telling you those concepts. If you directly, you don't have to import it onto your data breaks. You can just directly load the file into your blob storage or data lake storage, and from there you can fetch it. So the concept is mounting concept. So I'll explain you in the next session. Okay.
Sure, ma'am.
Any other times I might put it. I don't know where it will be. It's not in here also.
మేడం డెస్క్టాప్ మీద ఏదో కోవిడ్-19 అని ఉంది చూడండి మేడం.
ఉందా? ఓకే.
కోవిడ్ ఇండియా.
అదే అదే. యా. So let me import that file here. So how do we import it? You can go to your data. You can just drag and drop that file. Desktop. Okay, the file path is this one. Let me just try to use that. Go to workspace, data frames, or else shall I create a new? That is fine. I'll just use it here only. Okay, so how do you have imported the file? Now let us check if the file has been imported or not. Percentile fs ls. The path. Okay, so I have a file, covidindia.csv file, and the file size is this much. Okay, some 0.8 MB wala file I'm having. So let me quickly read this file. So how do you read a file? You will read it using spark.read. Whatever the format, be it a CSV format, JSON format, XML format, text format, whatever might the format be, we can just read it using, in yesterday's session I've told you how to read it, right? Spark.read.format of that particular format. If it is a CSV, just give the CSV file, and then if it is a CSV file, we will be having header. So how to make use of that? You will have to specify dot options, and since CSV will have header will have to put it as true, and after that you will have to give the path from where you want to fetch the or else read the particular file. Okay, so that thing I'll be writing now. You see here, in here there is some other folder which was 2021 which was created, so I do not want that. Let me just delete it and then write the path which I have. All right, so now I will assign it to one data frame which will be my df underscore covid. So it will not display anything, only it will read the file. Okay, so it will read the file, and if you just click here, right, you will be able to see I have these many 9 columns I have. Okay, so if you just minimize this also, you will be able to see, or else if you want to print a schema, open the fast. Okay, so if you just okay, sorry, so this data frame, if you remember, this is the one which is from the above we are getting, right? So this is not the data frame which I want to use. You will have to be careful when you are using these data frames. Okay, so since I'm using the data frame df which was created earlier, so that related information I'm getting. Okay, I do not want that. I want to print the schema of this particular file, of this particular data frame. Okay, so let me just execute it once again. If you see here, I have 9 different columns, and all the columns are considering the values as string values. Okay, so here I do not want this C0, C1, C2. So for that, ah, ah, మా మమ్మీకి చెప్పు. అయ్యో,
ఇంకోండి ఇక్కడ వాష్రూమ్
okay, so if you see here, what have I specified? I have just given header as true. Okay, so this is one method wherein you can use it, and the other method is yesterday's method, spark.read.format in that particular format, and then header option of header true, and then you have dot load, whatever path you have, right? You can just specify. So we have multiple ways to read a file. Okay, so here if you see, previously I had C0, C1 until C8. Now I have all the columns specified in a proper format. Okay, so if you just see the schema also, that will also actually give you the same values. Okay na? This is fine now. Okay, so now I will just minimize this. This is the output. Okay, this is the output, because we are trying to print something, right? This is nothing but the action we are trying to perform, so that is why it is getting displayed. Okay, so now let me click on display of this data frame. Okay, so let me comment it here because I do not want it to be displayed all the time. Okay, so this is your data. Okay, so if you see here, I am only getting displayed only 1000 rows, but this is having so many rows actually. Okay, this is having few different kinds of rows are present. So inside that, how many columns are there? There are different columns. If you see here, 9 columns are specified. You can also see that here. Okay, these are the different columns which are available. So if you see here, I have different data, and here I'm only displaying the first 1000 rows. Okay, so first 1000 rows are getting displayed, and after that I have 9 different fields. If you see here, 7 more fields plus then 7 plus 8 plus 1, 9 fields I have completely. Okay, inside this particular data flow, which is a data frame, which is a COVID related data. All right, so out of these 9 different data, this columns, right, I do not want all those columns. I will try to display only few columns. So how to do that? For that, let me just scroll down. And let me just write it here. So if you see, what is the data frame we are trying to use here? I'm trying to use df underscore covid data, because that is the data frame which is holding my covid related data, right? If you see here, this is the data frame we are trying to refer, right? So for that, you will have to just give data frame, that particular data frame which you are referring. Along with that, select, and then the appropriate columns, whatever columns you want to be displayed, right? Those all columns you can just specify. Okay, so here I am just giving it as some df1. This is the data frame which is having entire 9 different columns I have here. What am I doing? I'm using the selected wala transformation, and using this I'm directly giving the column names. So here, what are the different columns I have? Serial number, date, time, state or union territory, confirmed nation, Indian nation. These all columns I have. So out of 9 columns, I am only selecting 2 different columns. So using this method, right, you will be able to only select whatever you are explicitly specifying here, right? So I'm explicitly specifying 2 different columns here, so only those will be displayed. Let me just show that. DISPLAY display of df1. Okay, so what am I doing? Out of 9 different columns, I'm only selecting 2 different columns which I have explicitly specified. Okay, I have explicitly specified them here, and I am assigning them to a data frame, and then I am trying to display it. Is it clear? So this is a simple transformation, which is a select transformation. So this is one method to select the appropriate columns, whatever columns you want, right? You can just select it by directly giving the column names. So here, let me just do one thing. Okay, so here if you see, cannot resolve a date given input columns, that means it is throwing me an error. Why? Because I have made some small mistake here. So that what is it displaying? Cannot resolve that. So this is the column name which it is not able to recognize. So it is giving me what all are the input columns are available, right? So those all columns are available. So now you can just cross check what is this dat. So what is the exact column name here? This is the column name. But since I have specified it incorrectly, that is why I'm getting an error. Okay. Okay. All right. So now let me show you the another method of using the select transformation. So that is one method. This is another method. So if you want to make use of it, you can also just do that. Here, what is the main data frame which I am having? I'm having something called as df underscore covid. Let me just copy that name and then paste it here. Then from that particular data frame, I just want to select these. Okay, after that I will assign it to some other data frame which I will just name it as data frame 2. Let me just try to display it, and display of df2. Let me just execute it and see. Okay, so this is one way. So we have multiple ways to define to use the select wala transformation. You can directly use that whatever previously I have just given, right? Data frame dot select, and inside that select method you will just directly give the name. So that is one way, and this is the second method. You can just give some data frame dot select, and then data frame of that particular value, whatever value you want to send, you can just send that. Okay, so here let me just write something else. Which column I want to make use of? Confirmed Indian national. I'll just copy it, paste it here. Okay, so how many ever columns you want, right? Those many number of columns you can just specify here. This is another method to make use of. Okay, so that is the next one. So let me tell you another method also. So if you see here, I have another method here. So let me just just 1 minute, please. Just 1 minute. Mm, All right. So here, this is another method. Okay, using this method, you can. So here what we are doing, we are making use of inside the select transformation, we are using call keyword, and this is another method which we are using. Okay. So for that, let me just write df underscore COVID, copy it, paste it here. You are trying to you are able to understand, right? It is very simple. It's just that there is a syntax which needs to be followed. So once you have that syntax handy, it is very simple. Okay.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, so here since it is also one of the method which is not defined, so that is why we are getting this this error we are getting. Okay, so let me just maximize this error. So if you see what all other name call is not defined, so clearly it will tell you where all we are using this call keyword, right? So you can just rectify that particular thing. So how to rectify this error? So for that we will have to import this call keyword. So how do you import? You will import it using PySpark SQL functions. Okay, PySpark SQL function. So this is the one of the method which we are having, which is present inside our PySpark SQL function. So from there we are just trying to import the column wala keyword. Okay, let me just display it, execute it. Okay, so whatever columns you are just specifying, right, those all columns will be displayed. Let me add another column also. Okay, so how many ever columns you want, those many number of columns you can just specify. Okay, so that is your third method. Okay, so the first method is normal, directly using your whatever names you have, you will just specify that. Second method, you are using df, inside that df you are sending the value. Third method, you are sending call keyword, using this call keyword you are specifying the column name. Okay, so that is your third method. We also have some other methods, so let me show you those methods. So this is your data frame, right? Here I'm using select star. So star means what all are the values present, right? So if you want to explicitly give few names, you will be giving those few names, or else if you want to directly display of data frame, whatever columns are present inside that data frame, those all will be displayed. Another method is you can just directly give data frame dot select of star. If you give star, you don't have to give any other names. Okay, explicitly you don't have to give. So if you use this select of star, what it will do, whatever columns, if you have 100 columns, those all columns will be displayed. If you have 10 columns, those all 10 columns will be displayed. So let me show you that. Okay, so here I have 9 different columns, right? 7 plus 2, 9. So totally I will be able to display 9 columns using this select of star method. Okay, all right, so let us go for another method, which is using indexing. Okay, df underscore COVID. Okay, so here let me just copy it here. So if you see here, I am using this columns wala keyword I'm using, and inside that I'm just passing 5. So let us see what values we are getting. So now let me assign it to df5, and then let me give display of df5. So if you see here, from starting it is considering, and based on the index, these numbers are nothing but indexing. Okay, so actually we will be having something called as indexing and then column numbers. So this 5 is nothing but the column number. So till what are we telling, till 5 take whatever columns are present. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5, till 5 whatever columns are present, right, till fifth column, just to take all those column names. Okay, so that is what we are telling here. If you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till confirmed Indian national. Just count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till 5. That means these all are the columns which are available. So I want to fetch all these columns. Okay, without having to write those names explicitly, without having to write those, right? We can just specify this column number also. Okay, so how do you specify it? You can specify it by using like this. Okay, inside the columns you can just send colon and whatever number you want till where you want, right? So till that particular number you can just specify. So using here, what are we actually making use of? Here, using this method we can specify the column number directory without giving column names. All right, that is one way of achieving it. So how can you achieve it? Dataframe dot select dataframe dot columns. So in that particular columns you will just specify whatever, how much ever numbers you want till that particular number. If you want till 5, you will be getting till 5 columns. If you want till 2 columns, only these two particular 2 columns you will be getting. Okay, now I'll get only 3 columns, that too first 3 wala columns. Okay, so that is your another method. You have second, the other method also, I'll tell you that also. Okay, here let me just specify 6, and here let me just give the index. This first number is there, right? This is nothing but the index, and this is your column number. Okay, index number, from where your index should start, and from where your till where till which column you want to display. Okay, let me just assign some other number here so that there will be no confusion with the above one. If you use the same data frame again and again, what will happen at any point of time? If you want to get this value, right, you will not be getting if it is the same data set, because same data frame, because it will be overridden. So that is why it is always better to create a unique data frame numbers. Okay, all right. So here, what was the data frame? Data frame 5 I have. So I want it to be unique, so I have given it as data frame 6. All right, so now if you see what is the first column, actually my first actual column is this one. Let me just take a screenshot of it and explain you. Okay, so this is my first column. This is my first column, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so these are columns. So this is my sixth column, and this is my first column. These are nothing but columns. Okay, and indexing are again different. Indexing means what? Index will actually start from which number? Index will start from 0th number. Okay, so that means indexing will start from 0. So this will be my 0th column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so here what was the initial number I have given? 1. That means 1 is nothing but your index, and 6 is nothing but your columns. So here 1 is your index. So what is your index? Leo talle naito naik. See here, so this is your 0th index, this is your first index. That means from here you will be getting, because what is the number I have specified at the index? I have specified it as 1 and 6, right? So 1 will be your index and 6 will be your columns. So from here it will start actually. Okay, so from here it will start, and then it will till 6. What is the 6 here? 6 is nothing but the column, right? So till here you will be getting. That means from date, time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns you'll be getting. So let us see that. Confirmed foreign national. Let me just scroll it a little up. Okay, date, time, state, confirmed Indian national, confirmed foreign national. So got it, right? So basically indexing will start from 0 and column names will start from 1. So that is what you will just specify here. Let me write that as well. Or else here 1 is index, and 6 is column number. All right, got it right? So if you want to just specify 2 and then 7, execute it. Index will start from 2, that means it will be 0 1 2. From here you will be getting, and then till 8 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, till deaths you will be getting 2 and 7 I have given. Okay, that means till cured. Okay, this is the 7th column, right? So till cured you will be getting. Got it right? You understood now?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody, any
For me,
doubts? No doubts, I assume. Okay, it is very simple. Yeah, actually Databricks also. Okay, it's just that you will have to have the right code, right syntax. If you get it right, it is very easy. So the recent one is Dataframe 6. I just want to collect it at one place, and I just want to display it. I'll display it and show you the result. Okay, so inside your data frame 6 I'm having these different values. Okay, so if you just make use of this collect also, what all are the different inside that particular data frame, what all are the values are present, right? So those all values will be collected at one place and those will be displayed. Okay, so at one place, if you just want to display it, you can just make use of this df dot data frame dot collect option. So I'm applying this data frame on which data frame? On this one. Okay, df6 is what? Df6 is actually giving me 1 to 6 column. First index, it will start from first index and it will give me 6 columns, right? So that related information, that is nothing but the same information I just want to display. So how can I display it? I'm just making use of this collect wala method. So using that particular transformation, I'm just displaying those values. Okay, whatever I have inside my data frame 6, those all values, I'm just making use of this collect transformation, just assigning it to some data frame and then displaying that particular data frame. Okay,
yes,
then
ma'am. Ma'am,
finally,
I have a doubt.
mm,
Ma'am, in ADB, sorry, ADF, we have a publish all right option to save the data, whatever we did this.
yeah.
So here also, do we have any option like that, ma'am?
Saving and all you don't have. So whatever you write, right, automatically that will be saved.
Oh, okay.
Okay, na?
Yeah.
And then finally, I just want to write it onto one file. So we have something called as, okay, what is the data frame which I want to write it here? I have df6 is the latest one. I just want to write that. Okay, df data frame dot write dot format. Okay, if you want to read it, spark dot read dot format of csv dot load that particular file, we will be file path we will be giving. So here if you want to write the file onto your Databricks file system, how can you do that? You can do it using df data frame dot write dot format. It is a csv format, just specify csv mode. Here actually we have two different modes, one is overwrite mode and the other one is append mode. So here I'm just using this override mode. Since it is a csv file, we have header as true and then save it in this particular location. So actually this is not the location. I will just change it. Okay, so let me just execute it. It will return true. Okay, so if there are any errors, right, you will be getting the error here. So let us how to see if it is working or not. If the particular file has been generated or not, just go to your fsls and give the path. Okay, if you see here, the file has been created, right? So actual data is residing inside this file. Okay, path file is where we will be having the data, right? So actually this is the file wherein the data was created. Okay, now so this is one way to write it and see it. Okay, fsls and that particular path, whatever file path you have written, right, you can just read see from there, or else you can also see from here. File store, tables, selected COVID data. So this is the file which we have just written, right? So you can also directly go to your data and then go to your data source may, you'll go to your Databricks file system. So inside this Databricks file system only we have something called as file store tables. Inside that only we have stored these many files, we have uploaded it, and this was the file we have just returned. Okay. So if you see here, this is not a single file, this is a partition based file, right? So we are having something like success, committed, started, and then this is the original file. Okay. So this is how you can write a particular file onto your Databricks file system. So let me know if you have any doubts.
So here also we don't have any option like a single output, ma'am.
Single output, huh? Not a valid DFS file path. Yeah. Okay, since I'm just trying to, oh, okay. So if you want to write it onto your Databricks file system, right? So this is how it will be written. Okay. So if you have different modes, I've told you, right? We have overwrite mode and the other one is append mode. So let us see what this mode will actually do. Now let me just see the file size. 506, 526. What happened? Okay, so another file has been created, and this another file we are actually having some random number we are getting. Okay, for that particular part file we are getting some random number, and if you observe we have two different started part files, committed, success. So we have all for every whatever mode you are trying to use, right? So whatever mode you use for that particular mode, you will be having one success, one committed, one started, and one particular part file created. Okay, so whatever mode you use, right, it will be actually the same. So if you use this override wala option again, so what will happen? So it is always better not to make use of this overwrite wala option. Okay, so let me just execute this once again. If you run it again and again, it will actually override your file and it will make it to 0. So that is why you are not supposed to make use of this overwrite wala option. Okay, if you run it for the first time, that is fine. It will give you whatever size you are having, right? Inside that particular file you will be having that particular size. But if you run it mistakenly for the second time, what will happen? The existing data will be overridden, and this time you will be having no particular file will be present. Okay, so the data would be 0. So unknowingly, if you are aware, like if you have just written this particular overwrite wala code, and if you are trying to rerun it again and again, so for the second time if you are doing it, you will be having 0 bytes. And suppose if you are running the same file, so here let me just try to run this particular file. Okay, if I run that particular data frame, so actually here I am writing this particular data frame, right? So if you just display that df6 dot display, let me just do that here. DISLAY of df6. So after you finish this session, right, if you just try to execute it, you will be getting error. It will tell that the particular data frames, there is no, you will not be able to read that particular file. Okay, sometimes we will be getting error when it is not appropriately refreshed. Okay, so that is why it is always better only when you are using this override wala option. Just be careful when you are using it. Okay.